When I give
this AI
some input text, it will
turn everyone's lives into hell.
This is Deltarune Chapter 3's version of the Snowgrave route.
Just much worse.
Last time was pretty crazy and disgusting. Out of our 3 main characters, Toriel, Susie and Amethyst, 2 were tortured to an extreme degree and are now in the hospital. And now we know that Toriel adopted both of them. Let's continue this madness. It was a surprisingly warm and cozy morning. Susie went to the hospital like every day, to look after Toriel and Amethyst. Toriel was still covered in bandages and looked like an ancient mummy. All those fleshy wounds weakened her considerably, but she would survive. Susie sat down next to her bed and began to speak.
How are you? Has the burning feeling stopped?
Toriel tried to put on a smile, but it was hard to see under all those bandages. She thought it would be better if she just told Susie everything that had happened.
My father,
she said.
He's dead. This is the first line of text and the AI already kills more of Toriel's family.
It's not even hiding its evil intent at this point, jeez. It was a tough thing to hear. They'd always been so close. It felt almost unfair that the monster could die so easily, but at the same time she felt liberated. This way she could finally rid herself of him.
What? What happened to him?
Toriel took a deep breath and tried to focus.
I came home earlier this morning. He had done this. He attacked me. The first thing he did was grab me by my neck.
She pointed to her neck.
I remember him choking me, and I fought back, but he overpowered me. He put his claws into my throat and stabbed me in the side of the face.
Toriel pointed to the side of her face.
Then he climbed up on my shoulders. He wasn't in the house for very long. A few moments later I heard his screams.
Toriel tried to smile, but the tears were already streaming down her face.
I can't see him. I can't even remember what he looked like. The only thing I can really remember was the way he smelled.
The words came out almost in a whisper.
He smelled like sweat and rotten meat and witch's hair.
So Toriel has an abusive father. But it makes no sense that it happened this morning. That can only mean one thing.
I see. Susie sighed. You don't need to worry about that anymore. You're safe now.
She held Toriel's hand for a brief moment and then left her room. In the hospital's hallway, a tear escaped Susie's eyes.
Crap! How long is this supposed to continue? Her memory is still so messed up. Each day she tells me that a different person attacked her. How can I get her back to reality?
She was mumbling to herself, while walking like on autopilot. After a few minutes, she reached her destination and opened the door to the padded cell. Inside was Amethyst, wearing a straitjacket and saying many weird things. Susie attempted to start a conversation.
Hey, Amethyst. Are you getting the hang of your prosthetic arms?
Amethyst seemed to look at the sound of her voice.
What is it? What are you saying?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. They do seem to be made for someone else. Amethyst was able to put her restraints back in place.
So then, who is it? Who do you think?
Amethyst laughed.
Oh, that's right. It's a little funny, right?
Susie just stared at her, not really knowing what to say. The last thing she had said was,
It's me, Susie.
A few moments passed before Amethyst realized what she said.
But it's you, isn't it? You're you. You were attacked by a person with a blonde tail. I guess that you're right.
Amethyst shook her head.
Well, it's all funny in a way, but I'm just trying to get better.
The phone ringing broke the silence. Amethyst rushed to get it.
Hey, Mom, I'm okay. But my friend needs me. I'll be back later. Okay, honey. Be careful.
Yeah, see you later. She clicked the phone off. A moment later, Toriel entered.
We will talk about that later. A girl girl with a pigtail attacked me, and I don't remember anything else. I'm sorry, Susie. I promise that will be alright.
The two kept holding hands until both were up and ready to leave. They did this without saying another word. This time, the hospital corridor was not haunted. Toriel and Amethyst are so far removed from this plane of reality. It looks like they still recognize each other, but that's about it. This was too much for Susie to handle. She left the clinic and paid another visit to Toriel and Amethyst the next day. Each time Susie hoped their paranoia and brain damage would just magically disappear. That she could talk normally with her mother and adopted sister, however unlikely it may be. Susie entered Toriel's room. She often had hallucinations about people attacking her. That was always the explanation for all of Toriel's wounds. Toriel's eyes flashed orange. Susie nearly fell out of her skin.
You crazy bitch!
Toriel roared at her. Her voice was filled with rage, confusion and even some fear.
You killed my friends!
Oh no, her condition just gets worse.
I didn't kill them, Shut up!
Toriel swung her arm and threw Susie across the room. The girl fell on her back, striking her head against the floor.
They just went to end it,
Toriel said. Her voice turned menacing.
I should have stopped it, but I wouldn't listen because I was too weak. I couldn't fight them, I'm too frail, so they killed themselves. It's not your fault,
Susie said.
I didn't even know that they had taken that shit. I couldn't have stopped it. You didn't know!
Toriel screamed.
That was the effing fucker's fault! We can win without honest, aggressive badassing. That's all you can do. Kill them or be killed by them. You're right. But you don't want to succeed and fight them, so you cut them up and blame me.
Susie slapped Toriel on the cheek. It was a pretty hard slap. She couldn't control herself. A red imprint was left on the face. Susie breathed heavily.
Mom, stop.
She had trouble catching her breath.
You've lost your mind.
Two nurses were alarmed by the shouting and hurried into the room. They gave Toriel some sedative injections, and she quickly fell asleep. A doctor entered shortly after. Susie begged him to do something.
Is there any chance her brain can return to normal? These delusions are getting more and more extreme. This time she believed I was the killer.
There is no hope, and the drugs in her system won't be sufficient to reverse the damage. What is up with the doctors in this story? This one is even worse than the one from episode 4. Or maybe it's the same person?
How does she even think? Do you think she had her memories erased?
Her brain isn't telling the same story it once did, which means she's either insane or something in her body is causing her to hear things that aren't there. Please, tell her that she's not safe in this world anymore.
Why?
He opened the door.
I'll go and talk to her.
When he left, Susie began to cry. She kept asking Toriel who it was. She was dead, right? She didn't wake up after she passed out. She didn't get rescued. What? Were those injections deadly or something? The doctor came back and told her she was a good woman. He said it took great bravery and strength for her to commit suicide? Did this doctor give the orders to kill Toriel and now he's trying to cover it up or something? So messed up. She did the right thing. The doctor gave her a hug. Oh, you disgusting piece of trash. It seemed to help a little. Susie said she was tired and told the doctor to leave.
I'll do it. I'm sorry for leaving you like that.
Toriel's head suddenly jerked up.
What? Oh no, it was you. Did you send him to take me away? Are you the one who killed her?
The doctor tried to calm her down. Toriel, I'm not who you think I am.
Then who are you? What are you?
The doctor used the alias he had, calling himself Scooteroo. Is that a real thing? Let me Google this real quick. Scooteroo. There we have it. My Little Pony. So the doctor is a brony, okay.
am not a brony. I'm the real deal. I studied doctoring and stuff and became a true professional. So let me speak my own lines. Your voice acting is so awful. I'm a friend of yours. I'd do anything to save you.
What a detestable lie. She calmed down.
Then that's who you are. I'm happy to know you're a friend of mine.
But what about the knife? Why did you have it?
It's a keychain.
She opened her eyes. She was in a strange bed. There was a necklace on her neck. She remembered now. She had a dream about the person she should have died with. A message from the shadows.
Hiding is futile. Even the dead won't get help from me.
Do you still remember? Tell me. You killed them because you needed help. Because you were scared. But as I watched you slaughter them, I realized how pathetic you are, so I let you live.
Toriel stared at the ceiling. It wasn't long before she was asleep again. Her shaking had stopped. The doctor came in again and told her it was time to leave. When she woke up, she was back in the old room.
Mom, wait, why didn't she die?
She was still confused.
You're scaring me.
A week later, after recovering from her ordeal, the doctor visits Susie at her house.
My orders are to keep you in the hospital for another month. No travel is allowed until then.
Is she talking to Susie or Toriel? Susie's overwhelmed.
But I need to see her. I need to know she's alive.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to tell you that. You know, your mother had to be committed into the psychiatric ward.
Why?
Do you remember that knife she had in her hand?
What knife?
The one that found its way into your home.
The one in my room?
She remembered the dark room she found herself in. She saw a light. She saw a knife. It was in her hands.
It was a gift from a friend who just lost a loved one. She was afraid to show it to you because it's covered in blood. She asked me to hide it from you, then she put it in your room when you were asleep.
It's been there for 3 days now. I saw it.
Sorry, I don't know much about psychology. That's why I'm afraid to tell you, but those are the symptoms of schizophrenia.
What kind of statement is that? I don't know much about psychology, but trust me on this psychology issue.
Schizophrenia?
Yeah, you're not the only one with this problem in this world.
What about my sister?
She didn't show the same symptoms.
What?
Her symptoms were different.
What do you mean?
She was sad. She stopped doing many of her hobbies. She got herself a new job. But she always kept that knife in her drawer. I didn't see it until you found it.
Why is that?
She's probably only a fraction of how bad you are.
What is that supposed to mean? The doctor told her to stay away from her sister for a while.
That's what they said to do to me too.
She thought for a moment.
Can I leave early?
The doctor said yes. She packed the bed and headed to Ponyville. No, she's not. She packed the bag and headed to the hospital. When she got there, she asked where the other patients were. There's a clinic in that hallway.
I want to see my mother.
It's best if you don't go there.
What do you mean?
It's just for psychiatric patients.
Are you saying that's where she's being kept?
It's best you don't. Go to a psychiatric ward for violent patients. She can help you there. The doctors there can fix her. She ran out of the hospital. She looked for the clinic. It was at the opposite side of the hospital, near the very end. Let's untangle this. So Toriel seems to have been transferred to some kind of psychiatry. I don't really understand that knife story though. At first Toriel had it, then Amethyst, and then it was hidden in Susie's room. And somehow that's why they have mental illnesses? But since we know what actually happened before, I have the impression that Dr. Scooteroo is a fraud. Susie cautiously entered the psychiatric ward. The place intimidated her a lot. She nervously asked the receptionist.
Excuse me, I'm looking for my mother. Her name is Toriel. She, often has the paranoia that somebody's attacking her.
There's no need to tell me patient details. Allow me to lead you to your mother. Susie followed the receptionist to Toriel's room. She was still hoping that her mother's situation would improve somehow, even though her mind was clearly damaged.
Mom?
Susie called out.
Yes, it is, Susie.
Toriel slowly opened her eyes, recognizing her daughter.
So, you came to see me?
Well, I was worried, so I came to see you.
How did you find me?
For some reason, I remember the time you took me to this hospital.
What? Huh? And?
Well, you had a dream of becoming a doctor and helping people.
Is that so? That's nice. Then I suppose that means that you should become a doctor after all.
Toriel closed her eyes, smiling sadly.
But I cannot. My body failed to produce sufficient magical power.
Oh, so that's why she couldn't heal her mother in episode 4. What do you mean by that? Toriel slowly stood up.
I'm not allowed to heal anyone. You will have to leave me forever, just like I was abandoned by my parents.
What do you mean?
They all died due to the disease that I was exposed to as a child. A disease that is well known to be fatal to newborns.
Ah, and that's why her mother really died. It's sad to hear that her father died too, though if he was as violent as she imagined it, then oh well. Her family really only knows tragedy. Susie put her hand on her mother's. It's okay, Mom.
No.
The expression on Toriel's face slowly turned to one of complete sorrow.
My child, they were wrong. I was not trying to be selfish. I wanted to help those who needed. I wanted to do what I could to make sure that no one dies alone. It's just that I'm not well enough for it. That's all.
But why? Toriel threw her hands up.
I wanted to save them, but my body just couldn't do it anymore. There was no hope for them. That's why I couldn't save them.
But you must keep trying, Mom.
It's no use. I've tried for so long, but I'm going to die, Susie.
No, don't talk about dying again. After the second episode, Toriel almost died in each video. Don't jinx it now. No, you can't.
I have nothing left. I wish that there were something. I just wish that I had the power.
Mom, you can't die.
Yes, I know that. I wish that I could be a doctor, so I could keep saving others.
You must still fight, Mom. Susie put her hands on her mother's face and gently caressed it. You've always fought for those who need it. You always did that. For them, not just for yourself.
Yes, but if I die, you will have no one to take care of you anymore.
But I don't need to be taken care of. I can do it on my own. Toriel didn't respond. I will always be here for you, Mom.
But what if you forget me?
That won't happen.
But it will, you know.
I will never forget you.
I'll do everything I can to keep that from happening.
Please, Mom, don't die, okay?
Yes, I will fight.
Mom. It was Toriel's time to die. I hate you, AI. After a few moments, she slowly closed her eyes. The familiar tear slid down her cheek.
Susie, do you want to hold my hand?
I don't know. I'll think about it. Her hand slowly came up and felt her mother's. Her hand was warm. It was not ice anymore. Then Susie slowly rested her head on her mother's chest. Her lips moved, saying something that she never would have said otherwise. Mom. That was the last thing her mother heard before she died. Oh no, we lost Toriel. She survived so much bullshit, but the AI wanted her to die so badly. This sucks. She was our main protagonist. Now Susie has to make sure Amethyst and Chris survive. I wonder what Susie said that she wouldn't have said otherwise. Maybe something truly lovely. But Toriel couldn't hear it anyway, that's so sad. Susie couldn't hold her tears back. She had visited Toriel daily, witnessing her mother losing her grip on reality more and more. Only when she was close to dying did her mind mobilize all the remaining strength to talk to Susie normally. It was a farewell gift. To motivate Susie to help others. To help Amethyst and Chris. Now was not the right time for grief. Well, this was a downer. Join me next time when the catastrophe continues.